Hey guys, welcome back to District 48, where I'm doing just what I think EX5 specific decks are going to break down into in the meta. I know the ban list comes into effect March 1st, so things like Anubis and Melga X are not going to be affected until March 1st. That being said, just in the EX5 format, so from EX5 until BT15, how these are going to impact into the meta that already exists. So I'm not taking into account decks that already exist that are good, like Shine Gray, Beelzemon, I know Blue Flare's doing stuff, I believe it is. So I'm not taking into account those, I'm just looking at the decks from EX5 specifically. That being said, some of these do have older support. So Anubismon, and this is going to include Leviamon, because you kind of run Leviamon in there. Like, it's just kind of a good thing to run in there. I don't think it'll be S tier. I think it'll be high A tier. It'll be really good. I don't think it'll be tier 0 broken, absolutely disgusting. It's a great deck, and the stuff it can facilitate, being able to play out Death X -6 and then Death X getting its existing play cost reduction on top of that is ludicrous. Being able to do the same thing with Lucemon Chaos Mode, this is a very, very powerful card and a very powerful deck to boot. I don't think it'll be tier 0. Again, top A tier though. Grace Nova, I've seen good players with Grace Nova and I've seen bad players with Grace Nova. So if a player knows what they're doing with it, good deck. If someone doesn't really know what they're doing with it, or is just in general not the greatest at Digimon, it'll be decent. I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's a good deck, it's a powerful deck, it can do a lot, but I think it's going to be a deck that's also on the shoulders of the player. Something like Anubismon is fairly easy to pilot, at least in my experience. It's not a super complicated deck. If you get a good list and you have a basic knowledge of the game, you could do very well with the Anubismon list, whereas a good list and a basic knowledge of the game, you can still mess up Grace Nova, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Melga X, I mean, every time we have a good Metal Garuru X deck, it is disgusting. The protections that Garurumon X Antibody and Gabumon X Antibody give, plus old support that'll go into the deck, plus the like recent structure deck we got, Melga X as a more purple based deck is going to be kind of ludicrous, and this is a very strong deck. It's a very powerful deck. Once it gets going, it just keeps going. So yeah, I would say S tier easily. This deck needed to get hit on the ban list, and I say that as someone who's going to be playing it from EX5 until the ban list goes into effect. This is Heavy Leomon. Heavy Leomon is a pretty good deck. I've seen it. I played against it. It's definitely not S tier. It's one of those decks where if you're not prepared for it, it'll definitely catch you off guard and take both games. But I feel like if you're even somewhat prepared for it, it won't take both games. That being said, I'd probably say high B tier for Heavy Leomon. It does some crazy stuff, but I don't think it has any level of just speed, and like once you get the ball rolling on these decks, they just keep rolling. Versus Heavy Leomon, the ball can start rolling, get rolling, and then get interrupted, and then kind of shut down. For me, it fits in the same category of Grace Nova, as you also need to pair the deck with a really strong and competent player. Whereas these other decks, you can kind of hand them to anyone with a basic knowledge of the game and how it's played, and just say, play this, and they'll do pretty well. Fanglongmon, I think it'll slot kind of B tier down here. It's a good deck. It's a fun deck. This is a deck I've been looking at. I haven't done a whole lot of testing with it, although I kind of want to. I don't think it'll be... It's definitely not S tier. I don't think it'll be A tier. I think comfortably B tier, either here or here on each side of Grace Nova. In the end of the day, I think, at least from my experience, having to hard play the level 5s is going to turn some people off. More competitive players are probably going to realize that that's not a huge issue. Honestly, I think I'll just place it back here. Overall, I don't think EX5 is going to... I think Anubis and Melga are going to have big implications and big impacts on the metagame. Whereas these other decks, I think, more at a locals level, they'll do very well. Like, if you roll up to locals with heavy Leomon and you know what you're doing, you'll do pretty well, unless your locals are, like, super highly competitive. I've mostly gone to more casual locals. That being said, I'm excited for EX5. Melga X and Anubismon, I'm 100% building. Fanglong, I'm still thinking about it. Kind of depends on like what I end up pulling for my boxes and like how expensive the deck is to build. And then like again, depending on my pulls from boxes, Grace Nova and Heavy Leo might also be in there. Just, the B tier decks are so dependent on like kind of what I pull, but in the end of the day, we aren't going to know how these will shape up and impact the meta until release. We have a very, very, very good idea, but hopefully I'm wrong about these decks. I'd love to see some of these like kind of rise up and kind of go ape shit. I know there's some really crazy stuff you can do with like Grace Nova loops with the Tamers. But these are my thoughts. If you think I'm wrong, please let me know. If there's like any crazy stuff in here that I'm missing, let me know. But otherwise, my entire right monitor just went completely black for a second. It doesn't look like the recording messed up. Anyways, next week is going to be another progression. That'll be every 2 weeks. I don't know what's coming week after. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.